One photo, 4 smiles. Suddenly, the burrow felt real again. Not because the hair color matched or the sweaters looked hand-knit, but because the energy clicked. The twins wear that shared secret grin that says a prank is already halfway done. Percy stands like a rule book with shoes, upright, tidy, ready to file a complaint before breakfast. And Ginny? Quiet lightning. The kind that doesn't beg for attention. It collects it. This wasn't a look-alike audition. It was a chemistry test. Can 2 faces trade a joke without speaking? Can a single posture create friction in a family of chaos? Can one glance hint that a shy kid becomes the bravest person in the room? That's what the reveal proved. It told you the series understands why the Weasleys matter. They aren't comic relief. They're the heart, the heat, and the home that makes Hogwarts feel alive. Picture the first time we see them on platform 9 3/4. A crowded station, a lost boy, a mother who turns a brick wall into an invitation. If this cast sells that moment, everything else lands. Pranks feel clever, rules feel heavier, and bravery feels earned. The selfie wasn't just marketing, it was a promise the show plans to keep. And the tiny details inside it, especially the ones fans glossed over, hint that the reboot is following the book's map far more closely than anyone expected. That's where things get exciting, because the best clue is still hiding in plain sight. Hit subscribe before Fred and George find this big red button and turn it into a whoopee cushion. That casual photo wasn't casual. It was strategy. Dropping the Weasleys together told you more in one frame than a press release ever could. You saw a family dynamic, not 4 strangers in costume. The twins share that synchronized grin that says the joke is already set up and you're seconds from the punchline. Percy stands a fraction straighter than everyone else, tidy, earnest, already drafting a rule you're about to break. And Ginny's half smile does something rare. It reads as gentle now, fearless later. Fans didn't just like the image, they recognized the energy. It felt book true, the warmth, the chaos, the unspoken loyalties. That's why the rollout worked. It reintroduced the heart of the story without a single line of dialogue. If a still image can carry timing, friction, and foreshadowing, imagine what happens once these 4 start moving. And speaking of movement, the real question is whether the twins' timing lands when the scenes do. Because if Fred and George click, Hogwarts' entire tone changes. Let's talk about that next. The twins don't just tell jokes, they conduct them. Their rhythm is the spell. One sets the premise, the other steals the punchline, and somehow you laugh before they finish the sentence. That's why casting a pair with real lived-in chemistry. Think about how we first meet them. Not as clowns, but as experts in momentum. They tease, test, and dare, all while reading a room like seasoned performers. Good twins volley lines. Great twins volley thoughts. You can almost see the idea leap between them, start in one grin, land in the other, then detonate in a prank that feels inevitable. That's the engine of their comedy. Inevitability. You sense the mischief coming and still get surprised. And that surprise isn't random. It's design. The best Fred and George moments are structured like mini heists. Set up in plain sight, misdirection you mistook for politeness. Payoff that sounds like a punchline, but functions like a fireworks show. When 2 actors can do that with eye contact alone, you don't need a laugh track. The Great Hall becomes one. This is also where tone lives. The twins aren't chaos for chaos's sake. They're pressure valves. Hogwarts gets heavy. Rules get tighter. Fear creeps in. Fred and George puncture it with laughter that isn't shallow, it's relief. That balance keeps the story watchable when stakes rise. It's why their best scenes feel brave, not just funny. They mock what everyone else is scared to name. Casting them as a true duo unlocks the long game. Early episodes need tiny wins. Harmless corridor experiments, snack cart scams, the infamous mistaken identity bits. Later, the same timing scales up into legendary set pieces the films only skimmed. If these actors sell a whispered plan at breakfast, you'll believe the full-blown spectacle by term's end. Trust grows in small beats. The twins are built from those beats. And here's the secret ingredient: consequence. The twins sparkle most when someone tries to dim them. Enter Percy, the walking policy update. His stiffness sharpens their wit, their irreverence exposes his cracks. That friction is the family's heartbeat. If the twins land, the rules matter more. If the rules press harder, the twins shine brighter. Which brings us to the prefect in the room. Press subscribe, step through platform 9 3/4, and yes, we brought snacks. Percy is calibration, not comic relief. In a house fueled by pranks and hand-knit armor, he's the timetable with shoes, the baseline the twins can bend. Because he believes in order with his whole chest, every joke lands harder against him. Get Percy right, and the burrow upgrades from gag reel to living system, pressure and release. His power is subtle. A straighter spine, a careful breath before correcting you, a badge polished to a mirror. He isn't a villain, he's earnest ambition, sometimes too loud for his own family. When authority tightens at Hogwarts, Percy climbs ladders. That choice turns the twins' laughter from antics into oxygen and gives real stakes to every dinner table argument. He also sharpens everyone else. Mr. Weasley's warmth, Molly's fire, the twins' timing, even Ron's eye roll. They all read clearer next to Percy's formality. Plant those seeds early. Pride, titles, blind spots. And the heartbreak and, later, reconciliation writes itself. With Percy set, the family's heartbeat is audible. Now the quiet one steps forward. Ginny doesn't arrive as a headline. She slips in at the edges, watchful, warm, almost invisible. That's the point. Her power is the slow burn. If the actor sells those early silences, the later blaze feels inevitable, not forced. The arc starts small, a shy glance at the platform, a stammer that hides steel, the way she clocks a room before speaking. Then the gears click. Confidence shows up in tiny choices, standing closer to the action, answering faster, laughing without checking who's watching. By the time Quidditch enters the chat, you're not surprised she flies like she means it. The courage was there the whole time. It just needed air. What makes this casting exciting is range. You need softness for the burrow and bite for Hogwarts. You need vulnerability for the diary's shadow and composure when the stakes get real. If she can turn a whisper into a boundary and a boundary into a battle, you get the version of Ginny the books promised. Not a side note, a spine. Chemistry matters too. With Ron, she reads as seen. With the twins, she's immune to their smokescreens. With Percy, she refuses to be managed. Put her next to Harry, and the story gets gravity. It's not about rescue, it's about respect. Land those beats, and the family stops revolving around Ginny. It starts leaning on her. The burrow has its spark, Hogwarts has its ace, and the reboot has its slow burn hero. But the family photo left 2 chairs empty on purpose. Bill and Charlie. And the tease about Romania wasn't just a wink. It was a roadmap. Those empty chairs weren't a mistake. They were pacing. Holding back Bill and Charlie tells you the show plans to follow the book's rhythm instead of dumping every sibling on day 1. It's a promise that reveals will land when the story needs them, not when a press release does.
Charlie is the cleanest clue. Romania isn't just a postcard,
It's dragons, danger, and a pipeline to one of the most charming early capers, moving a certain stowaway hatchling off school grounds. Keep him mostly off-screen at first. Letters, soot-stained gloves, a laugh you hear before you see. And when he finally walks in, the world suddenly feels bigger than Hogwarts corridors. Bill arrives with a different voltage. He's the cool, competent eldest who turns Weasley from cozy into capable. Curse-breaking, globe-trotting, Egypt snapshots on the mantle. He makes the family feel connected to wizarding history, money, and risk. Introduce him later and you get payoff. Sibling pride, twin hero worship, and a subtle foreshadow of scars that say, this life has a cost. Strategically, slow-rolling these two protects momentum. Each new sibling isn't just another redhead, it's a plot lever, a tone shift, a fresh dimension at the Burrow. That's why the photo stopped at 4. It framed the heart, saved the spice, and left the fandom hungry on purpose. And that sets up the bigger picture. If the family is this carefully staged, the rest of the casting ecosystem, Molly, the staff table, the wider wizarding world, must be built to let them thrive. Let's zoom out. Great families don't work in a vacuum. They need a world sturdy enough to hold them. Locking in a warm, razor-sharp Molly means the Burrow gets its pulse. Care that hugs you, discipline that can stop a room. Pair that with a heavyweight staff table, wisdom at the headmaster's seat, steel in the deputy, edge in the potions master, warmth in the gamekeeper, and the tone balances. When the corridors turn cold, the Weasleys glow brighter. When the lessons get heavier, their humor lands deeper. It's not just casting, it's calibration. Faithfulness isn't about copying shots, it's about restoring cause and effect. A stricter school year turns Fred and George from clowns into pressure valves. A rule-bound institution clarifies why Percy climbs and why that stings at home. A world that actually expects courage lets Ginny's slow ignition feel earned. With the right ecosystem, every Weasley beat becomes a real choice, not a cute moment. Production choices matter too. If the Burrow looks lived in, scuffed stove, lopsided clock, backyard that remembers denoming, then jokes gain texture and heartbreak has a place to sit. And if Hogwarts feels like a machine with rules, detentions, and consequences, the twins' timing becomes strategy, not noise. That's the bigger promise here. A story that treats warmth and mischief as survival skills, not decorations. Get that scaffolding right, and the Weasleys stop being fan favorites and start being the show's operating system. Which brings us to the only question that matters now. Will the very first Weasley scene stick the landing and lock audience trust from minute 1? If this family lands, the story breathes. Fred and George set the pulse, Percy sets the pressure, Ginny sets the future. That's why one photo felt bigger than marketing. It hinted the heart is in the right place, and the roadmap is finally book true. On episode 1, watch for 3 tells. The twin handoff that feels like a single thought. Percy's half-second pause before correcting someone. Ginny's quiet look that reads as promise, not shyness. If those hit, the Burrow isn't background, it's the backbone. And here's the twist. The Romania wink means the world won't shrink to hallways. Dragons exist. Consequences exist. Choices will cost. Get the Weasleys right, and every corridor, classroom, and Quidditch sky suddenly means more. So are the new Weasleys perfect? Maybe perfection isn't the word. Maybe it's this. They feel true. And if you felt that too, you're already family. Stay. There's more to spot, more to decode, and a few knitted jumpers with your name on them. In one reveal, the reboot proved it understands the assignment. Fred and George feel like one thought split in two. Percy brings the pressure that makes every laugh land. Ginny is the quiet spark you only notice right before it becomes a fire. That balance is why the Weasleys aren't just right, they're necessary. The photo wasn't hype, it was a blueprint. It hints at a platform scene that earns your trust, a school year where rules bite back, and a world big enough for dragons and dinner table arguments to matter in the same breath. If those first beats hit, timing, posture, a single look, then the heart of this story is safe. So here's the question to carry with you. Which moment will prove them perfect? Platform 9 3/4, a prefect's lecture, or the day a quiet girl stops being quiet? Tell me your pick below. And if you caught a clue I missed, drop it. Extendable ears are listening.